Welcome to a new way. He has put you on a new journey. Hold close to him and follow what he says. Sent the final prophet Muhammad to mankind a mercy. Welcome to a new way. He has put you on a new journey. Hold close to him and follow what he says. Sent the final prophet Muhammad to mankind a mercy. Welcome to a new way. He has put you on a new journey. Hold close to him and follow what he says. Sent the final prophet Muhammad to mankind a mercy. Welcome to a new way. He has put you on a new journey. Hold close to him and follow what he says. Sent the final prophet Muhammad to mankind a mercy.
Ina alhamdulillah wa salamallah wa rasulallah. Give me a second. I want to welcome everybody to our series entitled The Sacred Bonds of Marriage. The Sacred Bonds of Marriage. And this is the class whereas we are discussing marriage from the book written by one of my students, Brother Daryl Abdullah Kirk, wrote this book entitled, The Sacred Bonds. And for those of you who are interested in getting married, I recommend that you do not do so until you first go and purchase this book. This book can be purchased on Amazon for only $13, and it's written by, again, my student named Abdullah Kirk. Let me put it here. Yeah, inshallah. Can you guys see that now? I'll set it there. So it's called The Sacred Bonds, written by Brother Daryl Abdullah Kirk. He's one of my students. And as you can see, he's covered everything about, first of all, we talked about the conditions of a valid marriage contract. And we talked about how marriage is a contract between a woman and a man that allows them to be together lawfully. And again, something that the women today have got to tune into is the fact of the importance of you women having a guardian, okay, a Muslim guardian. Your guardian cannot be a non-Muslim, and your guardian has to be a Muslim, and his job is to look out for your rights as if you were his daughter, as if you were his daughter. And the marriage contract is so important. One of the questions that came up in my Q&A session yesterday was a Muslim woman asking about, can her husband deny her children? If her husband tells her that he doesn't want her children to come visit him, or visit her, or if her husband tells her that he doesn't want her children spending the night in his home, does she have to listen to him? What's the correct answer? Let's see. Do you sisters know? What is the correct answer? If your husband tells you that he doesn't want your Muslim children, that he doesn't want your children spending the night in his home, do you have to listen to him and not allow them to spend the night in your home? What do you sisters think?
Yeah, you have to listen to him.
That's correct. He has that right. Yes, if he tells you he doesn't want your children spending the night in his home, you have to abide him, because that's one of the rights that the husband has over you. You cannot allow anyone in his home that he disapproves of. If he told you that that your mother cannot enter his home, you have to obey him, because that's his home. He's the one that pays the bills. He's the one that provides, maintains, and protects. He's the one that's going to have to stand before law on the day of judgment in chains as to whether or not he protected you, if he fulfilled the amana, or the trust imposed upon him by Allah in regards to you and the rest of his family. So that's why it's important for you sisters to learn about marriage before you jump into it. And that's why it's important for you to sit down with a guardian, a guardian who can ask the right questions. Because as women, we get caught up in the idea of love that we don't think. We think with our heart instead of our mind. We don't think about, wow, what if, this man tells me that my children can't visit me? What if this man tells me that my children can't spend the night with me? Is this someone that I need to marry? Where's my priority? Is my priority just being married, or is my priority my children? So these are things that, this is why we have to have a guardian. So again, that's why I tell you women and men, before you get married, purchase this book, Sacred Bonds, because it goes over that. He begins this book by speaking about the conditions of a valid marriage contract and why those conditions are there. Okay. And then he goes into what we're going to be speaking about today, certain rights and characteristics. We talked about the rights that your husband has over you, the rights that you have over him. And there are also certain characteristics that a man should have when you marry him. That's why you need a guardian, because a woman may not be able to tell if a man is a man of his word, if a man is a person of courage. But another man can see through a man, just like we can see through another woman. I can see through you women when you come here and ask me those type of questions. I can see what you're really trying to ask. Well, just like no one knows another woman better than a woman does, the same applies to a man. No one knows a man better than another man. Okay, so courage. This is what we're going to be speaking about today. How before you marry any man, your guardian needs to ascertain. He needs to ascertain if the man that you are interested in marrying is one who has courage. So let's put the PowerPoint up on the screen. And I did post it up. This is chapter 22. Yeah, this is chapter 22 of the book. Let me make it so y'all can see. So this is chapter 22 of the book. And this is how the book looks. So if you new people go to Amazon, this is how the book looks. Sacred Bonds, Navigating the Depths of Muslim Matrimony and the Family. Okay. And tonight we're going to cover chapter 22, which speaks about courage as a husband, courage as a father. You want to marry a man who has compassion. A compassionate man is a man that would never be so cruel as to keep a woman from her children. And that's something that I talked about yesterday when I answered that sister's question. The first thing I asked her is, why did you marry a man who had no compassion in his heart? Why did your guardian allow you to marry a man who clearly told you? Because she said he told her that he was not going to have her children involved in his life, basically. So why would you marry a person like that? And we spoke about this last week. Last week in this class, we talked about the importance of both the husband and the wife having compassion, because our prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us that compassion comes from Allah, and he only gives it to a select few of people. Not everyone was born compassionate. Perhaps this man that she married, he doesn't have compassion, but it can be learned. But my thing is, why? Why would you marry an incompassionate man when you have children? Well, just as compassion is a characteristic that we should look for when seeking a husband or even seeking a wife, not only should we look for that, but we should also look for a man who has courage. And let's talk about the importance of courage in Islam and why this is a characteristic that is needed for a man to have. Okay? Courage is needed for many reasons. Number one, because men are the protectors of his family. Whoever you marry, it's his job to protect you. It's his job to champion you. It's his job to protect your children. And only a man of courage would uphold that. Nowadays, so many men are cowards. What's a cowardly man? A cowardly man is a man that would tell you, he claims that he will be your protector, he will be your champion. But then when something afflicts you, when something hard or bad afflicts you, he runs away and leaves you to yourself to deal with it. He leaves you to yourself as a woman to address it. Well, that's a cowardly man. You want a man that's going to be right there, who you can call and say, honey, this has happened, that has happened. What am I going to do? And he has solutions for you. And he tells you, don't worry about it. I'll take care of it. I'll do whatever I have to do to protect you from the harm of this situation. You know, for example, oftentimes, this happens in a lot of marriages. It's happened with me before when I used to be married, and I've been married several times. Sometimes we women, we give in to our desires. Say, for example, you got a credit card. You know, your husband tells you, go ahead and use the credit card and go shopping. Or he'll tell you, you know, take some money out the bank or take the checkbook and go shopping. You can buy whatever you want. So you end up buying stuff and then you realize, oh my God, it's over the balance. Oh my God, I went too far. Instead of spending $1,000, I spent $2,000. Woe is me. Okay, it happens because women get caught up in it. You know, you need a husband that's got courage, who will tell you, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I'll take care of it. He may admonish you. He may ask you, why did you get so caught up in it that you spent this money? You know, he may advise you, you know, you need to be more careful. But then after admonishing you, after advising you, he'll take you by the hand and say, but don't worry about it. I'll take care of it. I'll figure it out. I'll pick up a couple of shifts at the job. You know, I'll do a little door dashing to make up the difference. But I hope you learned your lesson. That's courage. That's courage. Okay, so we have to be very careful who we choose to spend our life with. You want a man of courage because his job is not just to advise you. His job is not just to counsel you. His job is to protect you and lead you. Your husband's job is to lead you to paradise. That's why a Muslim woman cannot marry a kafir man, not even for a second. Because a man's job is to lead you to paradise. How can you lead me to paradise when you don't believe in it? That's why a non-Muslim can never be a guardian or ruler over a Muslim. Not in no voting elections. That's another reason why it's haram for you Muslims to participate in voting in elections like many of you did. We cannot vote for non-Muslims to lead us because it's impossible. Their lifestyle, their ideology, their beliefs don't coincide with us. Okay? So courage is needed for a man because it's his job to protect and lead you. He has to have mental strength to keep you strong. Okay? And so this is what is spoken about in this chapter of the book, the importance of courage for a man. And again, courage transcends the physical realm. It transcends the physical realm. Your husband is supposed to be your moral balance. He's supposed to balance your emotions. He's supposed to calm your fears. He's supposed to be there to champion you. A lot of you sisters, y'all mess up by marrying men who don't have courage. And again, how do we define true courage from an Islamic perspective? Well, from an Islamic perspective, courage is defined as the strength to uphold the word of Allah above everything. And we have this hadith here, whereas the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was asked about a man who fights to prove his courage out of pride and honor for his close relatives or to show off. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, that's not courage. Fighting just to show off, fighting out of pride and honor, just to prove your honor to your relatives. He said, that's not courage. He said, whoever fights so that the word of Allah will be supreme, this is courage. So when you choose a husband, your guardian has to assure that this man will put the word of Allah above everything else. He's not a man that will tweak Allah's laws because of society. He won't say to you, oh, because we live in America and because Trump is president and people are afraid of him, I want you to stop wearing hijab and I want you to stop dressing like a Muslim and instead I want you to look like a non-Muslim woman. That's a coward. That's not a man of courage. And I'm using this as an example because this is a phone call I got today from at least two sisters. Two sisters called me freaking out. First of all, their husbands shouldn't have been participating in American politics anyway. But their husbands told them that they don't have to cover up anymore because Trump is president and he might do this and they got this bill out. And, this is a coward. Like the prophet said, to fight so that the word of Allah is supreme. That's courage. That's courage. We also have another hadith where the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, faith, true belief in Allah will manifest itself at the first strike of a hardship. And faith consists of different branches. Patience is just one branch of faith. Another branch of faith is courage. I look around as a daya and I see how so many of these Muslims are acting in America about an election that they shouldn't have even been involved in because the power, it belongs to Allah, not to man anyway. Okay? But that's another topic. Most Muslims don't believe in the lordship, the actions of Allah's lordship. But anyway, I'm looking at how so many Muslims are running around like idiots, like the cowards they are. And I just shake my head. Subhanallah, Allah does speak the truth. Subhanallah, our Prophet Muhammad did complete his mission because he told us that these days would come. These are the days of fitan that our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam warned us of. Muslims running around like chickens without a head because they're cowards. Cowards. You would tell your wife to take off her clothes and be naked in the street because you're a coward. You'll have your daughters unveil themselves because you are a coward. True faith, true belief manifests itself at the first strike of a hardship. And now we get to see who the cowards are. What husbands amongst us are cowards? So again, the role of a man in protecting his family from negative influence, this is important. So your guardian has to assure that whatever man is interested in taking you as his wife, that he will stand firm even in the face of hardship, that he will have the courage to defend you, to protect you and any offspring you have with him, and that he won't cower like a lot of men are doing today. So this brings us to a question that many people may ask. What are some things or some steps that we can take to cultivate and demonstrate courage within our households, and in turn earn the respect as being the leader of your family? And I really like how Brother Abdullah Kirk put this together. Number one, self-reflection. Our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us in numerous hadiths, especially when we are faced with trials and calamities, to fall back on our belief system. And the only way that we can do that is by utilizing self-reflection. We need to take the time to reflect on what our fears are and what our insecurities are, and then identify them and the areas where we struggle with courage, and then make a commitment to overcome them. This is what you brothers need to do. You're afraid that Trump might do something to the Muslims. First of all, I can tell you how to overcome that. Fall back. Who has the power? Allah or man? Allah tells us in the Quran that if all the creation were to come together to hurt you, to destroy you, they wouldn't be able to lift a finger unless Allah allows it. So you can overcome that type of fear, by, again, believing in Allah, trusting that he has the power, not man. Okay, so self-reflection is one of the best ways, to develop courage. And also lead by example. Show courage in your actions. Show courage to your family and your decisions. You let them know, so what? Allah is in control. You're going to continue to wear your hijab, just as I am going to continue to pray and fulfill my obligations. Allah, there is no power or might except in him. And then you have to be willing to take the risk. You have to be willing to face each day. You have to be willing to make the difficult choices that come with being a person that believes in Allah. Remember, Allah tells us in the Quran, just because we say that we believe in him is not enough. We have to prove it. And he's going to send trials to us. He's going to send worries to us as a means of testing us. And remember that he promises he would never put a burden on us that's too great to bear. So many of you men can man up this way by leading through your example, showing courage in your actions, your decisions, facing these difficult times, trusting in Allah and not in man. And also, another way you can develop trust is to communicate openly. You should encourage open and honest communication with your family. Tell your wives, tell your children, if you feel the pressure is getting too much bad for you, to let me know. If someone is bothering you, if someone teases you, if someone bullies you, even if you are suspicious of someone hurting you, share it with me. Let your children, let your wives know that they can come to you with any fears that they have as well. You want to create an environment where your family feels safe to express their thoughts and emotions without fear of you judging them or punishing them. So you brothers are going to have to be more communicative with your wives and children. When you brothers come home from work, ask your children, how was your day at school? Ask them what happened in school, what was talked about in school, what was the reaction of the other kids in school. Ask your wife, how was her day? Were there any looks from the neighbors? Were there any crude statements from them? So communication is very important in helping you as a Muslim man and leader develop your courage. Also, I want you to keep in mind the words encourage, set, and empower. Encourage, set, and empower. You want to encourage independence. Encourage independence and self-reliance in your family members. Teach your children, teach your wives to face their own fears and overcome whatever obstacles that they may have personally. Just like you have to face your fears and overcome them, your wives and children need to face theirs too. And then you support them and guide them as to how they can take on these fears and challenges. So encourage independence. Remember, as Muslims, you let your family know we're different anyway. As Muslims, we're supposed to be distinct. We're not supposed to blend in to society's norms. Allah tells us to stand out over society's norms. Okay? So you encourage independence from your family members. And also set clear boundaries. Set clear boundaries and expectations for the behavior in your household. You tell your children you don't want them thinking or believing that someone has the power to hurt them. You tell your children, I want you guys to learn one simple supplication. And that supplication is that there is no power and there is no might other than Allah's. And you tell your children every day when you wake up, as you're walking to school or you're waiting on that school bus, I want you to remember there is no power, there is no might other than Allah's. Okay? So establish clear expectations and behavior from the members of your family and be firm and fair in enforcing that. This will help create a sense of security and stability for them. And also, you're showing great skills of leadership. You're showing courage to them. You let them know every day when I have to go into my job, when I punch that time clock, I always say to myself, there is no power, there is no might other than Allah's. Okay? That keeps you knowing that the power is with him, not with man. That there is no reason to fear anything or anyone but him. And as long as I fear Allah, as long as I'm obeying him, I'm under his protection. Can't nothing harm me unless he allows it. Remind your children, remind your wives, each and every one of us has 2 angels assigned to the front of us and at least 2 angels assigned to the back of us. And their job is to protect us against whatever is not meant for us. Okay? And you want to empower your family, empower them to pursue their passions and dreams without fear of being shot down by man. Do what it is, whatever it is you dream to do. Understand that no one can stop it from happening except Allah. The only thing standing between you and that goal, you and that dream, is Allah. That's it. And if you do your duty to him, put him first, put him foremost, obey him, honor him, respect him, call upon him, he'll make any dreams of yours come true. In fact, Allah says he will move mountains for you. So you're giving your family members, your children, your wives, the tools that they need to establish whatever their dreams are, whatever their passions are. So, and also, as the head of the household, as a man of courage, it falls upon you to be the problem solver. What does that mean? That means whenever faced with a challenge or conflicts within the family, you have to approach them with a problem-solving mindset. You have to encourage your family to do the same too. Help them to see that courage is not about avoiding problems, but instead a person of courage will face the problems head on and try to find a solution. And that's something that I personally have been doing in my life since I was 15. I don't like problems. I don't like drama. I can't handle problems. I can't handle drama. If a problem arises, I have to deal with it. If I see that I am in debt, if I see that my bills outnumber what I can afford to pay, I'm going to get on the phone and look for a solution. I'm going to do debt consolidation. I'm going to do debt relief or something to get out of that. I can't sit there and let that fester. Okay? You want to teach your children to be problem solvers. If something is bothering you in school, you're being bullied in school, don't worry, you let me know and we'll go take care of it. Or we'll take care of it real quick. We're going to stop it just like that. So a person of courage is a problem solver. They're not a problem creator, and they don't sit there and cry and complain about their situation. Remember, that's shirk el-eshkar. To sit in a situation that you're unhappy in and do nothing but complain and cry about it and be fearful of it, that means you've associated partners with Allah. Islam teaches us to get rid of the problem one way or another. Let it go. Keep it moving. Islam is all about life is too short. As our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam told Ibn Umar, live each day as if it were your last on earth. That way you wouldn't succumb to that crap. If you live to see the night, imagine that you're going to die and won't live to see the morning. That's the attitude we take as Muslims. We don't allow problems to fester, drama to take us out. depression to destroy us. We get rid of it. Okay? And also, you have to teach your family to be people of resilience. Teach your family the importance of resilience in the face of adversity. Help them to develop coping mechanisms and strategies for dealing with setbacks. Always have a plan A. Always have a plan B. And just to let you guys know, our Prophet Muhammad, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, gave some advice to the companions. The source of this is Sahih Muslim. He said, the believer never expects the best. The believer instead always expects the worst. So that way, if the worst occurs, he's able to handle it. And if it doesn't occur, he remains balanced with Allah. You know, and that's the problem with Muslims today. You should have expected the worst. What makes you think that man can solve your problems? Why did you Muslims think that voting for a kafir is going to stop the war? First of all, the war is from Allah. Okay, it didn't come from Israel anyway. It's from Allah. But that's another class, because again, we Muslims today have a problem with belief in the actions of lordship. But what made you people think that you could do something by voting in kafir elections? You gonna change something? What made you think that? That was just stupidity. The prophet taught us to expect the worst, so that way we are prepared to handle it when it comes. So that's how you can build resilience. That's how you can build strength. Always expect the worst. That's something my mother told me when I was a kid. My mother and my stepfather, they said, Layla, always expect the worst, so that way you can handle it. It'll help make you strong. And on the other hand, celebrate your achievements. Recognize and celebrate the courageous actions and achievements of your family members. This will in turn reinforce their courage and motivate them to continue being brave. Your children come home to you and tell you that they're being bullied in school. You go to the school and take care of the business, and you congratulate them for letting you know, for not keeping it to themselves. Let your wives know, thank you. What a good thing it was that you told me about this neighbor, because now I can handle him and we can put an end to it. So celebrate the achievements. So thus, guys, courage. Courage is a good characteristic that comes from Allah too. Remember the Prophet Muhammad, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and what's the source? Sahih Muslim. The Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, some people are born with good character, and some people are not. If you see that you are not, if you are lacking in good characteristics, then you have to learn it. And one of the ways to learn good character is by, number one, making dua, asking Allah. So in this case, asking Allah to make you a person of courage, a man of integrity and courage. And then the prophet said, pretend that you have it. Pretend that you are a man of courage in this case. Because after pretending for so long, it'll become a part of your nature. And number three, the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, if you're lacking in a good characteristic, surround yourself with people who have that character that you need. So make sure that the people you attach to as a Muslim man are men who are good leaders in their homes, men who are courageous with their children and their wives, men who will never put the word of Allah second to society. All right, I want to stop right here. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. And for my student, Brother Daryl Kirk, this was beautifully written. This is one of my favorite chapters of his book. He did an excellent job speaking about the importance of courage for the Muslim husband and father. All right. Are there any questions or comments?
I like this chapter too, just because you can apply that. I really like that slide about, self-reflecting on your fears and then seeing what you can do to improve, because you can apply that to your everyday life, not just marriage.
Right. Yeah, exactly. This is for women too, women and men. And like you say, whether you're married or not, courage is a good characteristic for all of us as Muslims, women and men. As a woman, we're supposed to be of dignity, balance, and humility. We're supposed to have courage. It takes courage to obey Allah. It takes courage to make them prayers every day. It takes courage to wear hijab. It takes courage to guard your modesty. It takes courage to stay in your home. It takes courage. It takes courage. So this applies. Courage is a characteristic that every believer has. If you are a true believer, you're not a coward. There are no cowards. The companions, all of them had courage. All the female companions, it took courage to face what Aisha radiallahu anha faced when she was slandered. It took courage to go out to that mountain every day as Salama did when her husband and son were taken from her. It takes courage to leave your husband and come back to the place where your misery began, as Sauda did. It takes courage to live in a foreign city apart from your husband after your first husband apostated, as Habiba did. So the female companions were women of courage. They were women of integrity, just as the men were men of courage and men of integrity. And we have to remember, a woman is just a reflection of a man. But back in those days, those were real men and those were real women. Fast forward to today, it's not that many real men and real women. Okay? Yeah. Any other questions or comments? Yeah, I love this chapter. Okay, so tomorrow, tomorrow for this class, because this class will be held tomorrow, and I'll be doing chapter 23, the next chapter. Yeah, we'll go over the next chapter in this book. And also, don't forget, tomorrow we have the Sunnahfollowers Kids program, inshallah, at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Make sure the kids are here. So, yeah, I'm going to be up. I'm going to try to put everything together, put the stuff out tonight. I'm going to try to, inshallah. All right. So I'm going to log out for tonight. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Assalamu alaikum.